strap in and get ready for After Hours with TC Restani. This is Abigail Harwich, executive producer, welcoming you to the show. And now, TC Restani!
Welcome to the After Hours with TC Restani, the podcast. I'm TC Restani, emanating from Palatial Podcast Penthouse, and I'm going to round the horn right now and introduce my fabulous panel of experts, the one and the only, the greatest celebrity stalker of all time, South Boston Jeff.
Hey, that's the name they gave me. What's happening, TC?
What's going on there? Clouded conversation going through the roofs with the ratings there, Jeff.
Oh, yep. I've been put a lot of work into it lately. A lot of work.
Unbelievable. Quincy Briscoe, the co-host of Clouded Conversations. What's going on, Milkman?
It's awesome. Everything is, your show with, Cuckoo Nest.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat next time. Got to keep up. Got to strain for ideas, but it's going good. Thank you, Quincy.
Well, we're going to do what it calls for.
And of course, the host of Ricky Bittman's Jukebox exclusively on Spotify, my mentor, the one and the only Mr. Ricky Bittman.
I'm relishing right now.
Up and away.
What are you relishing about?
I'm relishing because I have a nice big red Solo cup full of ice cold water.
Well, you can thank Abby for
I
that.
saw it on social medias. I finally got the big cup. See this little baby cup you're drinking out of?
Let's have
That's because I just went down and got those.
You?
That's right, Quincy. You went down and got them. Abby paid for them, and you went down and picked them up.
right.
So you're good.
They knew I was coming, so they baked this cake.
Because I think she was tired of hearing. She's like, I'm tired of hearing from that man about those fucking cups.
That man.
From those fucking cups.
Does she know how long I've been associated with this organization?
I know,
Man.
but she said those fucking cups, the way she talks in her little British accent.
Dirty F word dropping on me. Thank you for the cups, Abby. Just kidding. It is nice, though, to drink out of one cup.
Two girls?
Oh, you would have had to go there. I set them up for that one.
Yes, you did. So we've had, Jeff, you are the greatest celebrity stalker of all time. And this past week, we've had a lot of big celebrity passings.
Yes, unfortunately.
And we're not going to start off with the main event one, which we all know we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. But we have a couple more. They seem to always die in threes, right?
Yeah, it appears so, yeah.
So the first person who died in this cycle of three was Inga Swenson. Do you know who Inga Swenson was?
I almost thought Marta Kristen.
No, not Marta Kristen. She was from Los Angeles.
I know Inga Swenson. Was she on Little House on the Prairie?
No, she wasn't.
Well, kind of close. I mean, it's a sitcom era, 80s sitcoms.
Oh, was she on Soap and Benson?
She was on Benson.
Okay, she was on Benson.
Was she on Soap too?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's where her character originated on Soap. She was trying to steal somebody from one of the kids.
Was it Jimmy Bayo?
No, he went into the cult, I remember. But she had something to do. She was trying to break out one of the sisters' families. What, the Campbells and
the Tates and the...
She was going after somebody. She was going to take them down, and she was German. How she made the transition over to Benson,
what happened was the producer like, this character's great.
Yeah, they did like her.
Let's bring her over there and be the antagonist for Benson.
Yeah, so she died. She was
90-something years old.
She had to be, because she was kind of old back then.
Because that show started, I'm going to say, probably 78 or 9.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And it went to like 84 or 5. It was a long-running show.
Very risque show, too, for the times.
What, Benson?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Soap wasn't on that long. Soap didn't last. That's Benson.
But that is where the character began.
It was.
Kraus, you're ugly.
There you go.
Gross.
Now, Quincy, bring your microphone down a little, because I know this this next one is...
close to the heart.
It's close to the heart here.
Of Quincy.
And we all are big Jaws fans down here. I mean, we've seen all the movies. You're going to go down to the Broadway play, I heard, Ricky Bittman.
Oh, yeah, of course. Broadway, the gay white way.
There you go.
The great white way.
Great white way. But we had a passing from the Jaws 2 family this week.
I heard, yeah.
Now, Quincy, I know this is very soft subject for you. I know Jaws 2 is very important to you.
Yes, it is.
You and Jeff were over at the mansion about a month ago watching it, enjoying it.
Yeah.
And little did we know, it was also the 45th anniversary in June of the release of Jaws 2. But actor Mark Gilpin, who played Sean Brody. Chief Brody's youngest son passed away tragically of cancer at the age of 56.
The thing that gets me about these actors, the ones that want to make it, they go. And the ones who say, like, oh, I'm going to go, and then they go out, and they want to be an actor, make all this money, and they commit suicide.
Well, he didn't commit suicide. He died
I know,
of cancer.
but I'm just pointing the facts out in the world of entertainment. That's a friggin' shame that this actor, and he's a good... Why is it the ones... Can you answer that for me? That the ones...
Only the good die.
What we were talking about-
They're the...
What we were saying before the show. You could have all the money and fame in the world. It doesn't mean you're gonna be happy.
Right?
I have to be honest with you. I did think we were going to talk about Sinead O'Connor.
Why do the ones, the good actors like that go, and then the ones who say, I'm going to come in. But the worst thing about that is they leave their parents, their kids behind.
Well, that's the tragedy of suicide, my friend.
That is.
Yeah,
Suicide is painless.
That's the thing about some of these entertainers.
That's great, Quincy. Well, I know you're very upset about this, but
Apparently.
I'm just like pointing out the facts here.
all right. Well,
Just the facts.
Did you know that
Just the facts, man.
Mark Gilpin had a very famous sister?
Peggy Gilpin?
No, Perry Gilpin played Roz on Frasier.
That was his sister?
That was his sister.
That's the
his-
Frasier.
And his other sister, who tragically died a couple of years ago,
Oh, God.
was also in Jaws 2. She was the little girl that says, he's looking for sharks. That's a shark tower. So the Gilpin family have a lot of ties to the entertainment world.
So why didn't Roz have the last name of Gilpin? She get married, maybe?
Well, Roz wasn't her name on the show.
The actress, I don't remember her being Gilpin.
Yeah, Perry Gilpin.
Oh, Perry, you just said it. Jesus.
Perry Gilpin.
Perry. Don't you hate Perry's wife? What movie's that from?
I forgot. Perry's wife,
Superman?
Arthur.
Oh.
When he knocks on the door in the middle of the night drunk. And he goes, I'm here to see Linda. Don't you hate Perry's wife? And the woman came out and she goes, my husband
Vaguely.
has a gun.
I remember the song from Arthur.
A great song.
Arthur, he does what he pleases.
Performed by who?
Was that Christopher Cross?
Christopher Cross.
Right. Unbelievable. And of course, we can't go without talking about this. One of the greatest icons in the history of entertainment in the last 50 years. A guy who was more popular for a character he created than his own being. The one and the only, Paul Rubens, a.k.a. Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, sad.
He had a battle with cancer for 6 years that no one knew about.
Nobody knew. I never knew that.
how old was he now?
He was 70.
Imagine. Jeez.
Big 7-0. Now, Pee Wee, or Paul Rubens, Jeff must know the whole story about Paul Rubens down there. You must know his backstory and all the movies that he was in.
Well, sure. Well, basically, I mean, he was one of the founding members of the Groundlings. Actually, I mean,
Was he?
He was he started he was in that organization with Elvira. That's how we knew Elvira. That's how we ran in. That's how we
Elvira.
met Cheech and Chong. I believe his first movie credit was in the Blues Brothers as a waiter.
That's right.
Yeah. That was his to my knowledge, that was his first on-screen
Good
credit.
call. I remember that scene, but I don't remember him being in it until you said that. Mm-hmm. Your daughter is...
he was he was in a few of the Cheech and Chong movies. He was hilarious. I mean, he played himself, and he played a snotty hotel manager at nighttime. Foul mouth, rude. He was great in those. But the reason he just found out he had cancer
6 years ago, he found out he had cancer.
Well, he's the type of guy who likes to keep it on the positive and everything. He likes to maintain a positive attitude about everything. He's really into wishing his friends happy birthdays. He's really tight with his friends, and he's really very what's the word?
Enigmatic?
There we go. There you go. But
Count on me.
what else? Here's a little nugget of information. I found this out in by reading Corey Feldman's book. He was Corey Feldman actually approached. Pee Wee actually approached Corey Feldman and asked him if he wanted to be in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. He had a part in, he was supposed to get the part of Francis. He wanted Corey Feldman, but he was tied into doing the Goonies at the time. But he had his other persona. He wasn't dressed as Pee Wee as he approached him on the set, and he's like, yeah, kid, I loved you in Gremlins. Ever hear Pee Wee Herman? He's like, what, are you kidding me? I'm 12 years old. I love Pee Wee. And then he pulled out his sunglasses and showed him that he was Pee Wee indeed.
That's a great story.
And he offered the job of Francis. I think Corey Feldman would have been a pretty good Francis and everything, the spoiled rich kid. But very tragic loss. I mean, as you can see, I got to meet Pee Wee one time and everything, but here's the story. He did a convention, and it was on a rainy day, and his line was way too long, and I didn't feel like waiting in line that long. I didn't have the time to wait in the line that long. So what I did was waited till he had to take a piss. And I followed him. Towards the bathroom, waited outside the bathroom until he came out, and TC snapped the photo.
As you can see on the screen right now, if you're watching
Great
it,
photo.
if you're watching it on our YouTube channel, that was in April of 2006. And Pee Wee, I'll give him credit. Jeff was right. He had a line that was literally, I would say, a half a mile long.
Wow.
Right.
And
went outside the building into the rain, and I was like, screw this. I'm not waiting in this line.
Yeah.
Let's try this.
But where I give credit to Pee Wee was Pee Wee, after every 20 minutes, would go out to the people in line, wave and say, "I'm gonna get you all. Don't go away." Blah 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 blah. And he did that, and it was a very cool thing to do.
That is, yeah. He appreciates the fans.
He had the fans following him, but other than Jeff stalking him that day, what actress was stalking him that day, Jeff?
That had to be Erin Moran from Happy Days, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
The late Erin Moran.
A very drunken Erin Moran was "Hey, Pee Wee, what are you up to?" And he's running away from her. She was sitting there getting drunk with Christopher Atkins from the Blue Lagoon.
And Pee Wee was trying to get something to eat, and she was just like, "Pee Wee," and he's like, I gotta go back to my line, So yeah, he was being chased down the hallway by a drunken.
Listen to reason. I will tell the jokes.
By a drunken Joni Cunningham, which is something you don't see every day.
Yeah.
No, you don't. No,
you don't.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, she's dead. So no one was chasing her to the bathroom to get a picture.
Yeah, I've seen on Happy Days. I've seen a drunken Richie Cunningham, and then didn't Howard give him the business? Didn't Quincy? You would know.
Yeah, well, he got drunk at his first bachelor pie, but then the episode where someone slipped him a drink called Bullfrog.
I remember that one too.
And
then there was one, he was depressed because he lost his job, and he went to a bar and he drank. He drank a bunch of beers, and he punched Fonzie in the mouth.
Good.
Yeah, that was like, Richie's like,
just how
Welcome Home Richie.
And then he sobered up immediately. I don't think I've
Welcome Home Richie, part 2. Like,
part 2 was a 2-parter.
Yes. I remember this.
All right, here's a Happy Days trivia question. In the original episode, when he went to the bachelor party, how many teeny weeny glasses of beer did he drink?
72.
Very good, Quincy. Wow, that's awesome.
Unbelievable.
Very impressive.
And Jeff, you left off the list of Pee Wee Herman's accomplishments in the motion picture industry. He was the bus driver in Meatballs 2.
That's right. I forgot about that little credit and everything. I mean, bus driver in Meatballs 2. In Batman Returns, he actually played Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin's dad.
Yep. And the woman who played the wife.
Yeah, who was it?
That was Simone from Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Jeez,
yeah, that was, because Tim Burton directed that too.
Yeah, that was Tim Burton's big first movie, was Pee Wee's Big Adventure. And then Batman Return, he had Pee Wee and Simone as the Penguin's parents.
Yeah, he seemed like a cleaner version of John Waters. John Waters loves his friends, very eccentric and everything, and outwardly homosexual, whereas Pee Wee was just more refined, I think, and more about the comedy, whereas John Waters was about the shock value.
Right. And one of Pee Wee's best friends was Elvira.
Yeah.
Elvira.
Or to say Cassandra Peterson. Because
I heard she didn't even like horror movies.
she was in Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, that's right. She was. She was in the biker bar.
The biker bar, yeah.
I say you let me have him
Yeah.
first. That was her.
I say let him go.
Remember when he was dressed as the woman when he was with the escaped convict? And he goes, "Why don't you step out of the car, ma'am?" He goes, "Is there a problem, officer?" He goes, "No, no problem at all. I just wanted to look at that cute outfit you're wearing. Let's take a picture. It'll last longer."
Oh, that was with Mickey, the
Yes.
convict.
Yeah,
He was looking him up and
actually,
down.
he did kind of look like Dee Dee Khan in that scene.
Which we're going to be running across her path in a couple months down in New Jersey.
Grease is the word, is the word. So Dee Khan, this is Quincy Briscoe. Grease is the word, is
Beauty
the
school
word.
dropout.
Well, he's
No
going to be there. Frank
graduation.
Avalon's going to be there,
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
Dee Dee Khan, you light up my life.
Yep.
How about that? When was the last time
That's
you thought
Debbie
of that?
Boone.
movie?
You light up my life.
Debbie Boone.
Well, yeah, but there was this movie in the '80s
Yeah.
starring Dee Dee Khan. You light up my life. I remember it was on one of those the movie channel.
Yep, I remember that. You know,
It's a
but
song you'll always remember. It's a movie you'll never forget.
some of Pee Wee's best appearances, though, and I know like Carson is the king of late night, but David Letterman.
Well, David Letterman had on Andy Kaufman
Yeah.
and all those other great artists of the
But
time.
some of his appearances, when he used to pretend he was driving with Dave, and then he would show those 1950s films about how to behave in school, and like before
Yeah,
they would
don't be a Mr. Bungle.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he would come back and go, "Big enough piece of cake?" I remember that because I remember watching that going, "That's a huge piece of cake." And that's the first thing he said when it came back. Big enough piece of cake.
So it's a tragedy. Pee Wee was a great guy.
Yeah, he
I mean, the
was.
fans loved him. He's going to be remembered forever.
Mm-hmm.
Because with advent of the internet and whatnot, he'll never be forgotten.
I can't believe Sinead O'Connor got, well, I guess in this round table, Jaws 2 takes precedent over an uppity Irish woman. Huh?
She was
It was tragic.
wasn't a fan of hers.
I was a huge fan of hers when she first burst on the scene. Very
Well, she
talented.
was. If you know or not and everything, her biggest hit, "Nothing Compares," she didn't even write that.
Yeah,
Prince did.
that was Prince.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if, as a true fan, and again, I collected all her stuff. Her best work was from her first album, The Lion and the Cobra. There's no question about it. She was a very talented young girl, but you know what? She just got too popular too quick, and I don't think she ever felt happy
I
after
think
that.
the Pope whacked her.
Well, she was right. I'm sorry.
You don't do that to the.
No, she could have done it a little differently because she said it wasn't him personally; it was just the church as a whole.
And then
because they were
she
responsible.
got banned from Saturday Night Live, right?
Yeah, well,
Or did she ever come back?
I don't think she ever came back, but I don't know if she was banned. But then Joe Pesci was on the following week and said he would have given her such a smack. Now he's in trouble for saying that. How 40 years ago, 30 years ago, he's in trouble
It was
now for
30 years
saying
ago.
that.
Yeah, it was like 92,
He's in trouble
93.
for saying that. I mean, he was saying it as
Joe Piscopo.
Pesci, just
yeah.
like the Pesci we know from the movies. He was. I would have given.
Shut
her
up,
such
you half a
smack.
sissy, before I give you a slap.
Yeah, because that's what Pesci does.
Yeah, and now he's in trouble for saying that. I mean,
Please.
He'll
Sinatra
slap
said
a
he was.
woman.
Yeah, Sinatra said he was going to kick her ass,
Well, Sinatra.
but he said that not after the Pope, was when she refused to do the national anthem at one of her concerts.
Hey, here's one. Do you know how Sinead O'Connor parts her hair?
No.
Squats. Okay, yeah. She's gonna strike me down for that one.
Nothing compares to you. Okay. Speaking of the Rat Pack, I was watching an old David Letterman not too long ago. Sammy Davis Jr. was on it.
Yeah.
And this was like 4 years before he died, when he was like 64. He looked like he was 84 when he was near the end there.
Hard living.
I mean, he was talking about how he smoked like 7 packs of cigarettes a day, and he just looked old and weak.
Yeah.
But you talk about a talented guy.
Oh my God, yeah. Even up to the end, he was still dancing. I mean, he's incredible.
You see, they don't make entertainers like that no more.
They don't. They make personalities. All these personalities out there manufactured by
Corporations.
exactly. They're
Right.
products.
Sammy Davis when he was being interviewed by David Letterman, he says he was in the industry. He was 60 years old. He was in the industry for 57 years at that point in time.
He was a little boy.
Like
There's
3
footage
years
of
old.
him.
Yeah, there was in a movie. They showed it.
Yeah, little
and he was
tiny
singing and
kid.
dancing. So
He
they
grew up in a brothel. And I guess the movie JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling with Richard Pryor was based upon.
who also grew up. His mother was a whore.
Yes.
So there was a connection there.
Or maybe that was that Pryor's story?
It could have. I think that was Richard Pryor was born. His mother was a whore.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't think Sammy Davis, I don't think they had whorehouses in
I think he just grew up in burlesque. I think you're right. I remember
vaudeville.
Prior telling the story one time where he said he was mouthing off and one of the dancers just took her boob and went whap and slapped him across the face with it.
Oops.
You'd like that though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why not?
Maybe it'll happen one of these days. You never know.
Did that happen to Pryor or to Sammy Davis Jr.?
I think it was Pryor. I remember
because
Pryor.
I remember when he'd get heckled by the crowd. Sometimes he'd say, "What? I'll smack you in the mouth with my dick." So
There's another guy
he was the king.
There's another guy who tragically left us too soon.
Yeah.
He had Parkinson's or something, right? Something like that.
You ever hear the story about him and Marlon Brando?
I heard rumors.
That Gilbert talks about that a lot. He always wanted to get to the bottom of that story, but I don't think he ever did. But who knows? I don't want to repeat it here.
No. Something Lanny Poffo would have done, but
Google it.
Yeah. The Godfather. He had more than a horse's head in his bed with Richard Pryor. Let's just put it that way. Unbelievable. Now, we have the cup over there, but I also noticed that you have a nice cold cup of iced coffee.
I do.
And it's that time again.
It is. And we have a little guest.
A celebrity doing
celebrity guest. And this is, we're going to turn it
Hold on. Let's get a little applause for the celebrity before he comes in. Ladies, let me just bring this down here. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the 1960s, we have Mr. Haney.
Pat Buttram.
Pat Buttram.
We'll turn the mic over to Pat. Okay. Everyday drinkers to coffee enthusiasts, there's a brew for everyone. The Moon and the Sea Coffee Company, the right coffee from daylight to twilight, shore to shore. Visit them online at themoonandtheseacoffee.com, a proud sponsor of Restani Productions. How about that?
Now, before Pat leaves, can I ask him a question?
Absolutely.
What was it like working on Back to the Future 3?
Oh, my goodness. I'll tell you that. Michael J. Fox was nothing but a little fella. He licked flit and fly and light and land.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you get a nice payday off of that?
Well, they paid me in a case of Budweiser and a lifetime supply of Cheez-Its.
I heard you and Dub Taylor were chasing after a couple of the stunt women.
Well, I gotta maintain a reputation. Let's just put it that way.
And is this coffee worthy of the Westerns?
This coffee is the best coffee money can buy, and you can take that to the back. Genuine, delicious coffee, and you heard it here first.
Unbelievable. Pat Buttram, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Haney!
You never know who's going to show up.
Especially someone who's been dead for about 30 years. Unbelievable. Good for him. We can channel these things. I have the machine here.
That's great.
We can channel people from different dimensions.
Was that AI, do you think? Was that
It could be AI.
Dun, 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 dun.
Was that real?
Are we AI? Are we real, do you think?
Some of us aren't, that's for sure.
It's just something to think about. I'm starting to get freaked out.
Now, this AI thing, are you worried about it?
What are they going to take from me? My podcast?
The Winnie Bagel they could take from you.
I'm going to tell you something. I was actually at a concert last night with my buddy Radio John Laurenti from WZLX fame, and he was talking about that. And it is a tragedy for people who make a living with their voice.
Right.
Because it's just the flick of a few buttons and change everything
there
and
you
put
go.
people out of work.
I mean, you can bring dead people back.
Yeah. And John just has such a way on the radio. Like, he and I were talking about some celebrity things, and he always has a little tidbit. One of the things that blew my mind last night he talked about was we were talking about John Lennon. Do you know that John Lennon, at the time of his death, had dates booked at the Orpheum Theater in Boston?
Really?
Can you imagine that?
Was it going to be in 81?
It would have probably been after the first of the year. He was going to go on a little tour of theaters like that, and John Lennon would have been playing like it just kills me to think about that.
Well, you can thank Mark David Chapman.
I'm telling you.
Or you can actually thank the government for whacking John Lennon.
Because I'll tell you, I would have been at that show. Hell or high water, I would have been at that show.
How old would you have been in 1980?
1980, I was 15.
15?
Yeah.
So you think you could you have gotten in?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It was that was a theater. It wasn't a bar or anything.
Have you ever been to the Dakota?
Yes, I have.
Have you been there at night?
It was kind of dusk, and I'm going to say right now, I just got the most overwhelming feeling of dread I've ever had in my life.
I felt it down there as well.
Yeah.
I'm a Beatles fan, not a diehard Beatles fan, but when you go to that place at night, because he got shot, what was it, maybe 9 or 10 o'clock at night,
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And they still have a bullet hole in the guard shack right there.
The woman I was with at the time said, "I'll take a picture in the doorway," and I said, "No,
No.
I just."
It's very, very, very eerie place.
And that was the same place they shot Rosemary's Baby in that building, wasn't it?
With Polanski?
I think so, wasn't it?
Could have been.
I think it was. And so there's just, I just tell you, I've only felt that feeling once before in a relative's house who passed away. But the feeling was something I've never felt before and never felt since.
Yeah, I've never felt it anywhere else either.
It really was.
I've been in graveyards and all that other stuff, but just something weird about it. Maybe because it was, it was the first time a celebrity death. I was kind of too young for Elvis.
Yeah, yeah.
And when John Lennon died, everybody was talking about it the next day in school. I was in like the 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah. And I just think it was because it was so violent. Because you go to Graceland, you never feel that. You feel like you're very close to Elvis. But there, it was just something very, very different than you feel when you're at Graceland out there.
And our friend Glenn
Oh, dear God.
took a picture and put his hand up his head like
Tell Glenn his videos are ready.
yeah.
What do you expect from that, huh?
But yeah, we should go down there. I've been in, I mean, it's, as a group or whatnot, it's coming up on the 43rd anniversary.
Yeah, you're right.
December 8th, I believe.
It was December 8th.
It's the day my grandfather died. Not 1980, but the same day. I never heard it. Everybody said, Howard Cosell talked about it on Monday Night Football. I don't remember that. Because
I did not hear about it that way.
I heard it the next day on the radio.
I was in the bathroom, and my sister said, I was like, just give me a minute, will you? And she's like, no, you have the radio on in there? I said, no. She goes, well, you better turn it on. Because I was a huge Beatles fan at the time. And I turned it on, and I was like devastated. Could not believe it.
And now for today's news. 3 little pigs just built a house of straw.
Mr.
That was the tension breaker we needed.
Mr. Sympathy over here. Now, was that the first celebrity death that really moved you?
That really hurt, but you know what shocked me more than that was Belushi, which was not too long after.
That was, I believe that was March of 82.
Okay, that one really just threw me for a loop. But but that was really Lennon was because I was just discovering the Beatles
right
at that time. Everything the Beatles did were new to me. I didn't have all their albums. I didn't know what the White Album was even at that time.
And at that point in time, when did the Beatles break up?
1971.
So they were broken up for almost a decade.
Yeah.
And he went off on his Yoko kick and all that other stuff.
He went on some benders. He used to hang out with Harry Nilsson and Ringo Starr and some other dude. And they drank and they call it like the year-long lost weekend or something.
Have you ever watched the documentary The Night Lennon Died?
No, I haven't.
And he was at a recording studio.
Yep.
And a friend of his who was producing it was on a plane heading back to London when the news broke, and he had to come right back.
Oh.
It's just, if you've never seen any of the footage of that, go on YouTube and look at, a couple days after Lennon died, it was like 1 million people were
the next day
in Central Park.
Yeah, the next day.
Singing his songs. And there's actually a memorial in Central Park right across the street from the Dakota.
Called Strawberry Fields.
Strawberry Fields, yeah. I mean, that's...
Now, did you ever hear the story that James Taylor tells? He was living in New York City.
No.
And he heard the gunshots and he got up and closed his window.
In New York, how did he know? There's gunshots every 2 seconds.
I guess he was close. He was just like, I'm not going to listen to this tonight. And he closed his window.
And it was John Lennon
Next
getting
morning,
whacked.
he found out that it was Lennon.
Yeah.
He heard John Lennon getting murdered. And and the Beatles discovered James Taylor, too, which a lot of people don't know.
Now, do you think the government had any involvement in this?
See, that's where you lose me. I hope not. I mean,
he was a very, he was going around claiming he was bigger than Jesus. And
it was a long time ago, and the government wouldn't care about that. It's just, he was subversive, but I think a lot of that was in his rearview mirror. He had grown up. He was 40 years old, and he had grown up, and he was like, about this woman. I found what makes me happy. I got my son. I got my wife. I got music. I got New York City. And it's a shame because he loved New York City.
Because it was the perfect place for him because no one cared.
Yeah.
He could just blend in. Oh, there's John. Hey, John, how you doing?
And they say there's a famous Irish bar not too far from there. He was recording in the studio, and he would sneak out and get a cheeseburger without Yoko knowing. And he would just sit there by himself, John Lennon, eating a cheeseburger. And he'd say to the bartender, he goes, remember, if you see her, don't mention this. He was like sitting there eating his cheeseburger.
What, his beard?
He probably just washed his face good and went back to the recording studio.
Is Mark David Chapman still in jail?
I believe
he is. Is he still kicking?
Probably, yeah.
I mean,
As George Harrison called him, the devil's best friend. I mean,
I wonder if when he ever gets out, he'll be doing autograph signings. And you know what? People will go.
people will buy it. Yeah, yeah.
Where have I
guess
heard
they
the
will.
name Chapman, David Chapman?
He was the guy who killed John Lennon that
he
we've been
shot John
talking
Lennon.
about for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's...
It's sad, you know.
I-
Some
I-
people
I-
hate John Lennon. I mean, it's
I
just
don't
sad.
despise John
Yeah,
Lennon.
it's
I like
just-
the Beatles.
But it's sad when you think about it.
Hey,
40.
Bungalow
Yeah,
Bill.
yeah, very ahead
Right
of his
there,
time.
Chick.
Very
Yeah, he
ahead
really
of his
was.
time.
I
Like
mean,
he
Bungalow
even
Bill.
produced a couple of movies and everything. Like, well, helped produce. I don't know if you ever heard of the director Alexander Jadronsky. Like movies like The Holy Mountain and
The Holy Mountain.
and El Topo. He's a very freaky, director from Mexico or something like that. And Lennon was so into his first movie, El Topo, which translates into The Worm. It was a Western that he helped produce his second movie, which was called Holy Mountain, because he was such a fan. But I don't think Lennon was alive to see Holy Mountain. But yeah, like I said, very ahead of his time. It's tough to imagine what he would have accomplished with his brilliance if he was still alive today.
It's tough to imagine what you just said.
Yeah, I said that last night when I was talking to John. I said,
Well, it's easy if you try.
Yeah, it is easy if you try.
Now, did you ever see the video where John Lennon is singing with Chuck Berry and they're doing Johnny Be Good?
Yeah.
And Yoko Ono is...
Chuck was not a fan of that.
You could just see Chuck Berry's face go sour, like, ooh.
And the audio guy just went, let's just kill that right now. Can you see the video? Just her, nothing's coming out. He must have been so embarrassed by that, John Lennon.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing I can say about Lennon. He loved her and he would defend her till the end.
You think she's the one who broke up the Beatles?
After seeing the Peter Jackson special on Disney Plus and about Let It Be, I don't think so.
Really?
They had run their course. They were just sick of each other.
It happens to the best of them.
You know, they were artistically going in different directions. And I'll tell you, the animosity in the original cut of Let It Be is just not there in the Peter Jackson. They were just guys who they ran their course. That's it. That's the way I see it personally.
I mean, pretty much like you want to say love broke up the Beatles, something like that.
Yeah.
And all you need is love. But that's all he needed was Yoko and everything.
Yeah.
But whenever I watch that Imagine video that he did and everything, Yoko sitting next to him and everything, I just want to push her out of the way.
She really did insert herself in. Yeah, you're 100% right, Jeff. There's no question about that because she would ruin a lot of it. I'm like, Lennon's so cool. And she just wasn't. I mean, it was his wife and everything, but, it would have been nice if she just sort of kept to the side and,
Well, he's a great humanitarian. In that movie, Imagine, he helped out that homeless guy that,
Living in the garden,
came to and whatnot. So it is a tragedy. It's one of those things, like what happened if Kennedy lived, Elvis lived, or John Lennon had lived?
Yeah.
What would have happened? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
The world may never know.
And speaking of that, the world's going to know about our big-time commercial break, which is happening right now.
Do you love seafood? Hi, I'm Captain Dave Marciano, and I want to invite you to check out our new website, angelicaseafoods.com. Now you can get fresh local seafood shipped overnight from Gloucester's fishing families to yours. angelicaseafoods.com, the finest, freshest seafood New England has to offer.
From the boat to your door, get Angelica Seafood's premium seafood, sustainably caught and packaged at angelicaseafoods.com.
Alrighty, welcome back from that big-time commercial break. Get all your seafood from angelicaseafoods.com. Our good friend Captain Dave Marciano from the Wicked Tuna program guarantees you fresh seafood coast to coast and border to border and all points in between in the continental United States. Visit that website, angelicaseafoods.com. So what else do you have on your mind tonight, Ricky Bittman? Because your mind is always spinning.
It's a good question. I'm at peace right now. I'm feeling very peaceful.
We're being peaceful right now because you're talking about John Lennon listening to the music during the commercial break and whatnot.
And I got speaking of the Beatles, I got my copy of Helter Skelter here.
Well, I don't know if that's about the Beatles and whatnot, but
The original made-for-TV movie starring Steve Railsback
as Charles Manson.
Yes, great movie. Thank you. So thank you, Southie Jeff.
Oh, no problem at all.
Jeffy has.
I love to share the love or the hate. Or whatever.
This is a good movie.
Before I forget, I'll get mine.
Uh-oh.
But another thing about that is that's the first movie I've ever seen like Marilyn Burns in outside of a Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Wow, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, she's all over the Chainsaw Massacre movies, but she was in the star of the first one, the only survivor.
I forgot about that in this. I haven't seen this in decades.
She plays one of them. I think she plays Leslie Krenwinkel.
It was a double header on Channel 38, if I recall.
56, 38, yeah.
Was it 38? I think it was 56.
Was it 56?
For some reason, I always could tell. You could be. I think this was a 56.
Okay, all right, I'll take your word for it.
When it first aired, it was like on ABC or CBS or one of those, and then every summer they would play it.
Great summer movie, huh?
It really is, I mean, unfortunately. I actually, when I was in Los Angeles once, speaking of a place that gives you a
Los
dreadful
Angeles,
feeling, we took a ride up to Los Cielo Drive.
Oh, the Tate House.
Yeah, the cabbie took us up there, and we were like, all right, we saw enough. I don't remember feeling quite the way I did at the Dakota. But
did you knock next door and see Rick Dalton was home?
Well, he goes, guys, you don't want to stay up here too long. And he says, it's really not the place for us. And he talked us into leaving. But it was, you think back to that night. And I wish it had gone the way that Quentin Tarantino envisioned it.
That would have been great.
Quentin Tarantino should rewrite history.
He really should. He should take all these great events.
I think they should do more movies with Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth changing history.
Yeah.
That would be. They moved to New York in 1980. They
Imagine
stopped.
Two of them kicking the living piss out of Mark David Chapman because he spilled something on him at a Sabra hot dog stand or something.
Right.
No, I think an even better one would be what's Cliff Booth, his buddy? If he started dating a black chick that ended up going over to Jonestown, and Rick and those two end up stopping the Jonestown massacre.
That's even, Jeff. I'm telling you,
that would be
that's
fantastic.
The movie right there.
Yeah, they end up stopping the Jonestown massacre, and they side up with what was the name of that politician that went over there and everything.
Oh
and
God, yeah. Who the hell did that? I can't even remember. You just remember the name Jim Jones. All I'm saying is 5 years from now, Tarantino's going to be doing an interview because I listen to this podcast, okay, this stupid podcast with these four guys, and this guy had a great idea. So I just said, it's not copyrighted or anything, so I decided I'm going to make this.
And the movie is called Don't Drink the Kool-Aid.
And he wins Best Actor, Best Movie.
Right.
And we're sitting there going,
wait a minute, didn't Jeff come up with that idea? But yeah, so you had an eerie experience there.
Yeah.
See, next time I go to Hollywood, I want to visit there. And I wasn't really a fan of. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood made me a fan of the whole storyline, what happened there. So I would go visit that.
Yeah, I just found out an interesting tidbit too. It was called Manson's Victims, and Sharon Tate's mother, after her death, she went to the school that J. Sebring, the hairdresser, who was there that night, he got murdered. She went to his school and learned how to do hair. And she opened up some salons in his name and everything.
Really?
She carried on his work. She felt she owed him that and everything. He was a good friend of her daughter's. But something to that effect. I know she did something to do with J. Sebring in the hair. I should have watched that closer.
Now, ever see any of the episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies with Sharon Tate?
No, I don't even remember this.
Yes, she worked at Mr. Drysdale's bank.
Wow.
And she didn't get along with Miss Hathaway.
I bet she didn't.
Yeah, because she had eyes for Jethro, and so did Sharon Tate.
The funny thing is, I probably did see, but I didn't realize it was Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
Now, in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when what's her name? Margot Robbie goes to see the movie that Sharon Tate is that really Sharon Tate on the screen? Because it looks nothing like Margot Robbie.
I'm not 100%
Yes, that
sure.
was. What's the name of that movie?
Something Hotel or something.
Oh yeah, I know it's what's his name?
Dean Martin.
Dean Martin movie.
Dean Martin.
Dean Martin.
One of Doug Palumbo's heroes, Captain America.
But yeah, there's another movie she did, what is it called? The one who ends up doing porno movies. Oh, what was that movie? The Cat on a Hot. No, it wasn't that one. But the Wild Bunch, or where they played a girl gang, something like that. Oh, what was the name?
Not Faster Pussycat. Kill.
Yeah, that's it. Fester, Pussycat, Kill, Kill. Yeah, that was another Sharon Tate's movies.
Finally, I get something right on this show.
There you go. Now, what was his beef with Sharon Tate? Why did he whack them?
Supposedly he tried to get a music deal going through Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, and either Dennis or the music producer that shot Dennis down, because Dennis brought Manson's music to his producer and the manager, and the guy said, no, we're going to take a hard pass on this. And supposedly he thought they were going to be there, and they weren't. So the people that were killed were just innocents.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so I heard he beat him up one time. Dennis Wilson beat up Charlie one time too.
Oh, yeah,
at
Dennis
a
was a
party,
tough-
kicked him out. Yeah, kicked him out of his house and everything.
Yeah,
because
Dennis was a tough guy.
He threw because he used to let him and the family stay there. But Dennis would go out for the night, and Charlie would have the place overrun by drunken hippies.
Yeah.
So he kicked the hell out of Manson one night.
Yeah, I could
but the
see
whole
that.
story behind that is, and this was showed in Once Upon a Time in the Hollywood. He went up to have a word. He went to that house after Dennis had moved out and everything. He wanted to have a word with Dennis, and it was when Sharon Tate lived there.
Okay.
And he's like, is Dennis around? No, he doesn't live there. And he looked in and he saw Sharon Tate pregnant, and he was like, oh, okay. So we went back and told the family, no, he wasn't there. But you know who was there is that Roman Polanski guy. So he's like, do you know the director of Rosemary's Baby? Yeah, we should go back and get her, man. Oh, wow. That would be witchy, man. Witchy.
So for the record, the movie she was in with Dean Martin was The Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Never seen it, but
I only saw that
it's on
one
my
clip
list.
of the movie. Unbelievable. So someone asked me about this on a Twitter thing the other day, and I said we bring it up on a future podcast, and this is the future, is personal heroes. Your top 3 personal heroes. They could be related to you. They could be famous people and whatnot. But who were your inspirations? Personal heroes.
You going to start with me?
I'm going to start off.
I don't know. I don't really have any personal heroes right now.
Randy Mantooth.
Okay, yeah. Squad 51, Kane 3365.
We can never ask Quincy any of these questions because he never has an answer for it because he didn't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, he feels
Well, I just gave you a very important clip.
Okay, all right. Randy Mantooth. All right.
Squad 51, Kane 3365.
Okay, you can sit this one out. All right, let's move on down to South Boston, Jeff. Personal heroes, Jeff.
Okay, what
Couple
do I
of
get free? 3?
You get 3.
Oh, I would say Stephen King, Frank Zappa, and let's see. And you probably think I'm going to say Jack Nicholson, but no, James Cagney's way cooler than Jack Nicholson.
Oh, James Cagney.
I can give you that one. Sure. I see
Angels
that.
with Dirty Faces, the Public Enemy, those are wonderful films. I love his attitude, and a fantastic dancer as well.
Because he was a Yankee Doodle Dandy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great movie. Wait till I get my hands on that Putty Nose. Remember Putty Nose?
I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy.
A Yankee
Doodle do a die.
A real live nephew of my Uncle Sam.
Born on the 4th of July. We could go all night.
The Yankee Doodle sweetheart.
She's
My Yankee Doodle dog. Yankee Doodle hog.
Those are good ones. Yeah, Cagney, I see that.
Yep, so there are my 3. Stephen King, James Cagney, and Frank Zappa, the almighty Frank Zappa. And I did feel very, I did feel very sad when I heard that he passed away. It was like,
Who, James Cagney?
No, Frank Zappa.
Oh, Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
I was going to say James Cagney was an old guy when he died.
He lived a good life.
Ricky Bittman.
I will say the obvious answer for me would be Elvis Presley. He's one of my heroes. He changed the way I perceived fame. And
I'm going to live forever.
It's a good song.
I'm gonna learn how to fly. Hey!
And maybe when I was younger, I probably would have said Tony Robbins. No, I'm only kidding.
Tony Robbins.
No, I was a joke. I'm a joke maker. I'm going to say Andy Kaufman is a personal hero of mine because he changed the way I perceived comedy. He did it. I mean, everybody was looking for the
Laugh.
Yeah, and just,
He was looking for the reaction.
Yeah, and also what he did for wrestling, he kayfabed it over a wrestler. I would say Andy Kaufman because that was their job. He didn't have to do what he did. He did it out of respect and love.
Sure, for Freddie Blassie, who was
and
his hero.
Yeah, and he really did it, and he paid for his own hospital stay for what, like 2 weeks or something?
He never cashed one of his paychecks.
Yeah, I heard that. And he never gave up the truth either. He never.
No, to his grave.
Yeah.
He took it to the grave.
And so that would make him a personal hero. And
What do you mean never cashed one of his paychecks from Taxi?
No. When he was paid for wrestling, when he was Jerry Lawler.
Great.
They gave him. I got to look because I made a note when we were talking. And we were talking about him briefly before. He's Gilbert Gottfried. I just have such respect for him and what he was able to achieve. And he made this nice family before he died. And the love he has for all things that I love, old movies, old TV shows. I mean, this guy would rather watch Car 54, Where Are You? Today than watch the Barbie movie.
Most people would.
Yeah. And he said one of his proudest moments of a father, I thought this was the cutest story. Him and his son Max were in a diner in New York. His son had to be 6 or something. I think the kid's like 19 now or whatever. And he says to his father, he says to Gilbert, he goes, "That man over there looks like Lon Chaney Jr."
Who says that?
Exactly.
Right.
That's what made it just so beautiful. And I said, so I would say that Elvis Presley, Andy Kaufman, and Gilbert Gottfried.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'm going to have to go with
Ron Jeremy.
No, I was going to say anything but Hugh Hefner, but he's not in the list. He's a close third or fourth or fifth, I should say. First and foremost, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah.
Bobby the Brain Heenan was my personal hero. Yeah. One of the quickest wits, and he was in the wrong industry.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy who really could have given my second hero, Johnny Carson, a run for his money.
Yeah.
He was quick-witted. Everybody,
likable.
He was a likable bad guy, but he was just a sarcastic. He was 10 years ahead of his timeline.
Yeah.
He could have been. I mean, just imagine what he would have been like in the '90s if they were during the Attitude Era, when they would just let anybody say what they wanted.
Man.
His quick wit. He was the Don Rickles of professional wrestling.
Good point. I like that.
And an excellent man, and gave me a lot of advice when I hung around with him for that one weekend.
Yeah.
Something I will treasure for the rest of my life. Johnny Carson, because he's the king of late night.
Of course.
I mean, he's the gold standard.
Yeah. Carson is Carson.
I mean, he may have been, in the later years, he may have been, he should have been put out the pasture a little time earlier.
He still had it up to the end, I think.
But he was just an icon, and just the way he held the world in his hand every night for 30 years. Yeah. People couldn't go to sleep without turning that guy on.
30 years, yeah.
30 years. 30 years now, because we're older, goes by a lot quick, because 1993 was 30 years ago. It seems like yesterday. But when you're watching the show at the age of 5, 6, 7, 30 years seems like a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I remember my grandparents sitting there making me watch it, and I was like, well, I was young, and I didn't understand.
What the hell were you doing up so late?
It was on weekends, on Friday nights. On Friday nights, I used to go and spend with my grandparents as a kid, and they would watch Johnny Carson. That was when he was 90 minutes long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If I made it to 90 minutes, I'd pat on the back, but I would kind of pass out after like the first guest.
Sure.
So, and my third hero is my grandfather.
Oh, nice.
My grandfather, who had the same characteristics of a Bobby Heenan and whatnot. He was very quick-witted. Wasn't mean-spirited. He just had that gift. And
I envy people like that.
And anybody that says, who is the relative you miss the most? Obviously, I miss my mother and my father and whatnot. But my grandfather was very, very important to me.
That's
and
nice.
Every November on his birthday, I always post a picture of him in my graduation outfit, because he never graduated high school and whatnot. So, yeah, anybody says, where did I inherit my quick rig and all that other stuff? It's definitely from this guy.
Yeah.
And he would be one of my heroes.
It's nice that you picked a blood relative, and Jeff and I went to Hollywood.
Well, most people didn't have a grandfather like I did.
That's true. I mean, not to say that my family, put them in that same.
Sure.
But I mean, let's face it.
A lot of people were envious. They were like, your grandfather's like really fun to be around. He wasn't rude or anything, but he would say things off color when he needed to.
Yeah.
And
Nothing wrong with that.
It was in a way, he was kind of like a toned down Don Rickles. He wasn't with the volume turned up. He was just a great guy, and
that's nice though. That's nice.
And I miss him. I hate to say that, but I miss him the most.
Yeah, that's nice.
And Quincy's talking over here about some guy on emergency.
Nothing wrong with Randy.
Entry fee #1, came with a 6'5".
So you got Randy Mantooth, and would you say Burt Reynolds too?
I'll take that as a yes.
And Little Enos Burdette?
Hey, I'm Little Enos. I got a lot of money like my daddy. I'm gonna kick his ass.
I can't wait till we document when you go down to meet Paul Williams in November.
That is gonna be so friggin'
And what are you going to
awesome.
say to him?
Little Enos, I am a huge fan of yours.
I can't believe Little Enos wrote the...
I can't believe that Little Enos wrote the songs of the Carpenters. That's just what I'm gonna say.
Which one?
He wrote Rainy Days and Mondays.
Really?
He wrote We've Only Just Begun. I'll tell you, matter of fact, I got him on
Close to you. Just like the birds, I like to be close to
You know me, I
you.
always got my Spotify.
Close to you.
Paul Williams playlist. He wrote the song, I Won't Last a Day Without You. Because I won't last a day without you. We've only just begun. We've only just begun. Remember that one?
Right.
Old-fashioned love song. Just
Just
an
No, it's Three Dog
old-fashioned
Night.
love
Song playing on the radio. That's Three Dog Night.
And he wrote You and Me Against the World and Rainy Days and Mondays. He also wrote Evergreen. Love soft as an easy chair. And what's now? There's a song called "What Would They Say."
What would they say?
Does anyone remember what that song was? The theme song to?
I do not know.
I probably couldn't play because we'll get canned, right?
Probably, but you can sing it.
Okay. The lyrics are: What would they say if we up and ran away?
It's not ringing a bell.
From the roaring crowds and the worn-out city spaces. Leave us alone. We live in the country. That was the theme song to The Boy in the Plastic Bubble.
Oh, really?
Yes.
John Travolta?
Yep. Available on Pluto Television right now.
Oh,
in
big plug out
demand.
there. And of course, my favorite song that he wrote, Love, Exciting
That's right,
and
the theme
new.
song. Yeah, the theme song.
Who'd have thought
Yeah.
Little Enos wrote the Love Boat theme?
Love Boat theme.
His bank account really loves that.
I want to get some money like Little Enos, Burdette.
I bet he wrote a lot of songs for Sesame Street and the Muppets too.
I think he wrote
Rainbow Connection.
Rainbow Connection.
Aha, yeah. Well, man, right.
Little
But,
Enos,
but he was in the Muppet movie. He was playing the piano at that bar that Fozzie Bear got his start, the El Sleazo Cafe.
With
But,
Rolf, the dog, right?
I'm going to play a couple of roles.
Ralph
and
came
get-
a little later in the movie, but I remember that was definitely Paul Williams playing the piano, one of those harpsichord type of things.
He just has a way with tunes.
He's like Barry Manilow.
Yeah.
I'm going to play some roles with Little Enos and build my account with him. Okay?
I'm telling you right now, he's going to be knocked. You're going to knock his socks off with that one.
Well,
You know what you need to do, Quincy? We need to get you a Little Enos outfit.
That would be something.
And you have to wear it down there. He'll flip out if he sees you showing up as Enos. No, that's the
oh, I
band.
love your suits. It must be a bitch getting into size fixing.
So that means you gotta be Big Enos for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, walk in there as Big
Yeah,
Enos.
you can be Big Enos. We put a mustache on you and everything. Big
Okay.
Enos and Little Enos reunite.
That would be cool.
Okay, all right then.
Are you going to do it?
Any of the broads that hang around this show as seamstress? Can they do this?
I'm sure that I know Abby knows a lot of people in the theater world.
Yeah, we need some royal blue material. Boy, if my sister was still around, she could do it.
Or we could just go up to the Army and Navy store, or not the Army and Navy, the Goodwill. I mean,
You'll probably find something there. You never know.
so that's it, Quincy. If we find you a Big Enos Burdette outfit, will you wear it?
A white, yeah. Now he wears white and smoking.
it
Okay,
was
we're
blue,
gonna get
wasn't it?
one. He wears white and smoking into bandits.
You know. I'm not
Was it like a Boss Hog outfit?
Yeah. So okay, I will. Then I'll try a few outfits on, look like Big Enos Burdette. And everyone's gonna watch like, look who just came in. It's like Big and Little Enos Burdette. It's like,
That's what we got to get you, the blue suit.
Yeah, we got to get you the suit,
That one.
and you got to get the mustache, Quince.
The yellow tie and the big white hat.
We're gonna do this. He's gonna flip out when he sees, because no one else is gonna show up as Big Enos Burdette.
There's really nothing to it. It's just the blue jacket and little white trim.
I'll do it.
Hell yeah! All right,
Do it.
you heard it here first.
We just gotta find the mustache for you, though, Quince.
This is so funny.
Hey, if I can
That
find
would
a
call
wig,
me
I can
good.
find a mustache. Yeah.
Okay, then.
We
Look at
have
this
connections.
Look at Paul Williams' face. That's just great casting right there.
This was from, was this Smoking the Bandit 1 or 3?
I don't know. I just was like, I was Googling Enos Burdett.
Okay, this has got to be 3, I think. Yeah, because didn't 3 take place in Miami?
Something like that. Yeah. They started out in Miami and had to get to California from that.
Because they're on a beach with chicks in bikinis.
Well, then that's got to be Miami.
So, all right. So there you go.
Oh, because Buford was retired and they had to go out. Yeah, Buford was in Miami, out in retirement.
What was that song they sang? And please, Academy. Smoking the Bandit 3 for Buford.
The song they sang, Buford T. Justice, fairest lawman of Texas. Where are you, Justice, when we need you the most? You're a hero to your ego, a legend to your own kind. Something like that, yeah, but I don't remember all the words.
Remember more words than I did, but that was it.
Was Gleason was in 3, wasn't he?
Without question, that movie is funnier than 1 and 2 combined.
They said that he channeled he did like his best Ralph Cramden throughout the whole movie.
The whole movie I think was
What part of 3 did you like the best?
just, what Pig Bladder and all that.
The little dialogue and say the little stuff was funny.
Well, like the only reason you need to understand is because Buford was in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Now I understand.
You didn't even need the bandit. Well, it was more like a cameo,
he did a camel shot.
The camel shot?
Cameo shot.
Oh, okay.
The bandit, the original Burt Reynolds. But
is it like a camel toe?
well, it's not what they call it in showbiz, a camel shot.
Okay, great. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds did like
camel shot. Huh?
A camel shot. Did the Iron Sheik
He humped his way into the movie.
Did he make the bandit humble?
Yeah, he's just like it's like I gotcha. Well, hello, Buford. Oh, you caught me with my pants down, huh? Just a figure of speech.
All right, well, you haven't watched Smoking the Bandit 3. I highly recommend it just for Jackie Gleason. Some of the shit that he says in this movie is you're going to be crying.
Yeah.
Because it's just so ridiculous.
I gotta check that out.
The movie itself is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, did you know the premise of it?
Is someone with an elephant?
No, that was the second one.
Okay.
The third one is basically Burt Reynolds said, "No, I'm not doing this."
Yeah.
So Jerry Reed became, "I'm going to be the bandit."
Oh, that's right. He was the bandit in disguise.
I'm going to be the bandit.
And being chased by Buford and Junior, and whatnot. But just some of the stuff that Jackie Gleason came up with. There's no way this was scripted. They probably just said, "Okay, here's some bullet points. Action."
He would have been one of my heroes, Jackie Gleason.
What are those clink clowns up to?
What was the Pig Bladder line? Because every time I hear it, I laugh.
It's flat, Daddy. That was flat too, Daddy. I know that, you pig bladder.
I know that, you pig bladder.
Pig Bladder.
Oh my God, I'm dying here. Smoking the Bandit 3, an underrated 80s comedy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, all 3 of them, because it has a Buford, but I have to say, part 2, the highlight of that was when they had the desert chase.
Yeah, part 2 sucked. I didn't like part 2.
Part 2, because they had the big desert chase. When they had the whole Buford's but the highlight of that was when they had the big desert chase.
Yeah, it was kind of a showdown. Like all the police cars came in against all the trucks, and they came came towards each other. It was okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was the balls.
That's where Jackie Gleason played like 4 different roles. All his
You
brothers.
always like the 2s. You like Jaws 2. You like Smoking the Bandit 2.
Right.
You like Rocky 2.
2, 3, and 4.
Oh, there you go.
Well, you have to have 2 before you can have 3 and 4.
Whoa. So 1 doesn't fall in? You didn't like Rocky 1?
Well, okay. I'll give you 1. But if you're asking my favorites.
1 best picture, for Christ's sake.
No. You're asking me what the best.
All right. Fair enough.
So, if you're asking me the best of all the Rockies, like 2, 3, and 4, because of the drama. Because they had Apollo Creed, and then like Mr. T, and Abo Drago. Okay? Plus the music. Mm-hmm. I love the variety, the music. You asked me, so I gave you my best.
Okay, fair enough.
I
love them all, but I mean, Rocky 1 is without question, in my opinion, the best.
No, 2, 3, and 4, because it had, and of course,
you know what's wrong with Rocky 2? The biggest mistake they made with Rocky 2 was when the kids ran with him.
Why? Oh. Come on, say,
I'm sick of these movies where the kids save everything. Godzilla, all these movies, King Kong versus Godzilla, kids save the world. They don't. They ruin everything.
We are
That's
the world.
right. It was
We are
good for the movie.
children.
Come on. But like it wouldn't happen in real life. One of those kids would fall on the stairs or get hit by a car running down the middle of the street.
And that one asshole kid tries to run with him. You've ever seen like Rocky just takes off, and this kid thinks he's gonna stick with him, and Rocky just fucking leaves him in the dust. That's my only complaint. I'm just saying. I know you didn't ask me, but
That's all. No, it's all right. Everyone's entitled.
You know, a good hero of mine appeared in Rocky. Very small role, but Trauma Theater's Lloyd Kaufman was actually in Rocky. He was the location coordinator, but of Rocky. But he was also appeared in it as the drunk that Rocky picked up and moved.
get out of here.
Yeah, that was Lloyd Kaufman, Trauma Theater.
amazing.
Very gentleman.
Pick it back. Do, do, do,
Hey, it's the bum from the dock. Get a job, you bum. You know who that was? The bum from the dock?
No.
The guy who came out the door was Frank Stallone.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he was also the guy singing by the
Yeah.
trash can, too.
Yeah, but then there's a part where he was walking by with Adrian, and he comes out of a doorway. And he goes, oh, it's the bum from the dock. Get a job, you bum.
Take it back. Well,
Another cool guy.
Yeah.
that's like him, too, when they just came back, when he's carrying Adrian through after they just got married and,
Where he smelled meanly.
yeah.
Quincy, look at the clock. It's time to wrap the program up, buddy.
Oh, we're having so much fun,
How
Dad.
time
I want
flies
to stay
when we're
up late.
having fun. Well, thank you for watching another very awesome episode of this radio show. Thank you for watching. And as usual, we'll see you again soon. And remember, we never close.
Never, ever close.